The Affairs of Poisons was a major murder scandal that took place in France under the reign of King Louis XIV. Between 1677 and 1682, prominent members of the aristocracy were implicated and sentenced on charges of poisoning and witchcraft. It seems to have begun in 1675 after the trial of de Brinvilliers, who was accused of having conspired with her lover, an army captain, to poison her father and two of her brothers in order to inherit their estates. There were also rumors that she had poisoned poor people during her visits to hospitals. She was tortured and of course confessed, then sentenced to death. She was given what was called the water cure, meaning that she was forced to drink large amounts of water, which could result in gastric distension, water intoxication, and sometimes death. Then she was beheaded and her body was burned at the stake. But the most famous person involved in the affairs of poison was Catherine Monvoisin de Chaise. She lived from 1640 to 1680. She was a French fortune teller, a commissioned poisoner, and a sorceress who had a network of witches working for her who were suspected to have killed around 1,000 people. But it's believed that possibly over 2,000 people may have actually been murdered. Catherine de Chaise learned fortune telling as a child and later married Antony Monvoisin. When her husband's business went bankrupt, Catherine supported the family by practicing chiromancy or palm reading. She was also a midwife who practiced abortions, which were illegal at that time. Her business as a fortune teller developed into manufacturing and selling magical amulets, arranging black masses, and selling aphrodisiacs and poison. All of this made her pretty wealthy, and she seemed to have some real keen insights into human nature. For instance, spending extra money in order to provide an atmosphere which would make her clients more inclined to believe her magic. She made potions using the bones of toads and teeth of moles, Spanish fly, iron filings, human blood, and the dust of human remains. And although she was married with children, she had an array of lovers. One was an alchemist, another an architect, another magician, and one was even an executioner. And Catherine would perform black masses for a price, during which the client could pray to Satan for their wish to come true. During some of these masses, a woman performed on an altar upon which a bowl was placed. Then a baby was held above the bowl and its blood was poured into it. Whether the baby was actually killed or was already dead by natural causes such as being stillborn is unclear. And she even had a priest employed to officiate some of her black masses. Catherine was known to suffer from alcoholism and engaged in several conflicts with her rival, another poisoner and witch named Marie Beauce. Marie claimed that fetuses who had been aborted late in the pregnancy were burned in a furnace at Catherine's house and buried in her garden. The art of poisoning had become a popular science at that time, having been perfected in part by Giulia Tofana, a professional female poisoner in Italy. That's a lot of poisoners. Women didn't apparently play a whole lot of games back then if you pissed them off. Catherine provided a large variety of poisons for clients and had a network of poison providers working for her. One was Catherine Trianon, who practiced apothecary, an early form of pharmacy. Miss Trianon also had a reception room that contained a human skeleton, which she said was a pious reminder of mortality. And the most important client of Catherine de Chaise was Madame de Montespan, the official royal mistress to the King of France. On one occasion, when the king's interest in Montespan seemed to wane, she employed Catherine to provide a series of black masses to once again regain his interest. Montespan even acted as the human altar during one mass. She made it clear that if the king should abandon her, she would have him killed. And when the king started a relationship with another woman, she tried to fulfill that promise and employed Catherine for this. Catherine decided to murder the king by poisoning a petition, which were formal requests made to the king to do something for the petitioner. However, on that day, there were too many petitioners and the king did not take their petition, which foiled her plan. But fate stepped in that day and the king's sister-in-law had died, and her death had been falsely attributed to poisoning. The king wanted to know who did this, and by this time many people knew of Catherine de Chaise. A riot took place where people accused witches of abducting children for black masses. The priest reported that a growing number of people were confessing to poisoning. The fortune teller Magdalene de Lagrange was arrested for poisoning and claimed that she had information about crimes of high importance. The arrest of Marie Bose made the police aware that there existed a network of fortune tellers in Paris who dealt in the distribution of poison. In 1679, Catherine was arrested outside a church after having attended Mass. She was imprisoned and questioned. King Louis issued an order that her whole network should be exterminated by all methods, regardless of rank, sex, or age. Catherine was never subjected to torture, and although a formal order was issued permitting the use of it, it was made clear that the order was not to be done. Some think that they feared that under torture she may reveal the names of some influential people. Aware of her alcoholism, her interrogators kept her intoxicated. Catherine told them that Paris is full of this kind of thing and there is an infinite number of people engaged in this evil trade. But she refused to name further clients, nor did she mention having arranged or participated in black masses. And in 1680, she was put on trial and convicted of witchcraft and sentenced to execution by burning. Catherine was executed in public on 22 February 1680. On her way to her execution, she reportedly pushed away the priest. When tied to the stake, reports say that she tried to kick away the hay which was piled up around her. Her list of clients, plus those who arranged the black masses, her connection to Montespan, and the murder attempt on the king were not revealed till after her death by Catherine's daughter, which was confirmed by the statements of the others accused. This caused the monarch to close the investigation and seal the testimonies. The affairs of poison implicated 442 suspects. 367 orders of arrest were issued. Of the condemned, 36 were executed, 5 were sentenced to the galleys, and 23 to exile. This number excludes those who died in custody by torture or suicide. Catherine de Shays was pretty unique. There weren't a whole lot of women entrepreneurs in those days, and I love that she put together this eclectic crew of witches for hire. Then built a thriving business from the ground up. Had she just practiced a bit more discretion, she probably could have had a much longer and even more bountiful career with fortune telling, black masses, and murder. Good night. Boo.